Big yikes, mate. We seem to have sprung a leak. Oh, I guess we should fix that. Hey, what's up everybody? So this Jeep Wrangler TJ just wants to be the bane of my existence today. This particular one is a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder, and this also works for the 4-liter inline 6 as well. We are going to fix and replace that thermostat housing, but while we're in there, we're also going to put a thermostat in it, a performance one, because this should be a race car. It makes like no power. So we're going to do that today. If you need help doing this, then just follow along. It's pretty simple, and we'll get to it. Let me show you what you're going to need. Alrighty, so the things we're going to need today: some type of ratchet, 13mm socket, our thermostat housing. This particular one I will link down below in the description. It's on Amazon, and it comes with a gasket. If you buy that, it's going to help support the channel. I will also link this performance thermostat just in case you want to do that while you're in there, but it definitely needs a performance thermostat because race car. Anyway, we are also going to need a scraper just in case all the gasket material doesn't come off, and a screwdriver and a pair of pliers never hurt. I know that my radiator's been replaced, so it's going to be different than a stock configuration. Also on top of that, this little guy right here to be able to torque down our bolts. Let's get to it. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to need to do is unhook our hoses. Like I said, I know that this is an aftermarket clip here, so we're just going to use a screwdriver, unscrew that. Oh yeah, I guess if I didn't mention, if you don't want coolant going everywhere, you should probably catch it someplace. All right, we also have another clip to take off here, so let's just squeeze this up, and it slides up. The whole thing slides off. We're gonna lose a little bit more coolant. Thankfully, I put a bucket underneath there to catch that. Also, make sure that your engine isn't warm. See, this is a little bit warm, so it's got just a little bit of heat to it. Okay, so we've got 2 bolts that hold the thermostat housing on. One is right there on top. Ooh, not gonna have... There we go. Get it off there. Once it's loosened, it comes off by hand pretty easy. And save that for later. Then there's one other bolt clear down in here, which I'm not sure if you guys will be able to see that. So let me get down in here. That is where the other bolt is. And that just so happens to be right in front of our belt there. So in order to get that, we're gonna have to loosen the belt. So if you watched my video on how to replace your belt, you would know that this isn't a 13mm. All right, so this is a 15mm, and we just got to loosen it. That loosens this belt so that now I can push it down far enough to be able to get a socket on the other end, or the other bolt. So let's do that. All right, so now that we have loosened that bolt, we can push this, see how much tension takes off the belt. I can push it down in there. And loosen this bolt up. Came out pretty easy. Oh, of course it falls to the ground, so go grab that. As you can see, you still have the sending unit right here, but I'm gonna deal with that once I get it up here. So I'm gonna pull this bad boy out. Just like that. Then we're going to work on taking this clip off. All right, so this particular clip is one of those that you push down and then pull out, just like that. But we're going to need to save this sending unit for the next thermostat housing. So, handy pair of pliers, and we're just going to take it off. Okay, so I think it goes without saying that a wrench would be better than 2 pairs of channel locks, but I'm working with what I've got. So let me grab on here. Ooh, she's on there. Okay, so this little guy is seized on there pretty good. So we're gonna use a little bit of muscle, see what happens. We might end up having to get a new one of those. Okay, so we used muscle on that. A lot of muscle. But I think it goes without saying Wrenches are better than using 2 pairs of channel locks. But once a plumber, always a plumber. All right, we got her out. Looks like there was some thread sealant in there, so I am going to use some tape and dope when I put this back in. All right, we've got the new one there. And I said tape and dope like I was gonna actually do both, and I had both. So we're gonna put a little pipe thread sealant just all along here. But you know what? It's gonna seal it. That's all that matters. So then we're just gonna screw this in here. As far down as we can. And I actually have a crescent wrench that fits it, so we're just gonna screw it on there. Okay, in case you can't tell, it's pretty darn tight. Since we've got our new thermostat housing all tightened up with the sending unit, all we gotta do is take out the old thermostat, which all you gotta do is grab that and pull it out. It should come straight out. And part of that gasket came with it, which is perfect. As you can tell, the spring side went in first, which is exactly what we want to do when we replace it. But as you can tell, there are some pieces of gasket that are left over. That's where your scraper is going to come in. Make sure we clean this entire surface up so there's no gasket left over. Consideration not to mar any of the metal surfaces. All right, and here's our race car thermostat. Mitsumoto, whatever, I don't know. Race car. Anyway, when you install these, make sure you put them in spring side in, just like the previous one. And you should be able to get it to stick in there, just like that. Okay, so I'm just using a paper towel to get all of the excess liquid. All right, so I just used a paper towel to clean up that gasket face, and now we are ready to install the thermostat housing. Okay, so if you were paying attention, there are 2 bolts. One is a long one, goes on the top. One is a small one, goes on the bottom. Make sure you put your gasket on there and you get it lined up exactly how it's supposed to go on. And then it's as simple as matching the holes up. Make sure your gasket stays where it's supposed to stay. I like to put my bolts in to hold that gasket in and line it up where it needs to go. All right, I struggled with that a lot more than I thought I was going to. So I'm starting these bolts by hand. And I'm going to do this bottom one first because I'm going to put that belt back down where it belongs. Okay, so these bolts, they are torqued to 20 pounds. All right, internet, I meant good by trying to torque it down to 20. But I can't seem to find a way to put everything in there to be able to torque it down. So we're just gonna make sure she's tight. But if you have a torque wrench, the setting is 20 foot-pounds. Okay, so there's a thunderstorm coming in, so we're just gonna hurry and get this put back together. This is to tighten the belt. I want to make sure that belt is nice and tight. Just like that. There we go. That's about as much give as I had before. Thank goodness. And if you don't have a tensionizer, just make sure your belt is tight. We plug our sending unit back in, and then we just got to hook these 2 hoses up. So once again, these 2 hoses just slide on This has a hose clamp, which last time was in a very difficult place to be able to tighten it. So this time we're going to make sure we tighten it in a place that we'd be able to get to it fairly easy. And there is a such thing as over tightening a hose clamp. So just make sure you got it nice and taut. You don't want it to strip out. Make sure those wires aren't going to be in your way. Push down in there. You can see where the clamp was before. Oh, I apologize. I almost knocked you guys over. All right, perfect. Now we start it up, see if she leaks. But also, keep in mind, more than likely, you are going to need to add coolant. So don't forget to pay attention to your temperature gauge and to add coolant if you need to. Okay guys, it's been a couple weeks. I just haven't had time to get back to this project. But as you can see, we've got the hoses are on the way they're supposed to be. We just need to fill this bad boy with coolant. And I can't find a funnel that fits. So bonus tip, we're making a funnel out of a pop or a plastic bottle. Just gonna take the Sawzall, cut this open. That will work. I'm gonna open our antifreeze up. This is pre-diluted, so it's good to go. Stab a couple holes in this bad boy. And now we just pour the antifreeze into here. Get you set up so that I can do this with two hands. Okay, so I just filled it up to full. And now we're gonna run this bad boy and then come back to it and see where we end up. All right, it's worth talking about that level's probably going to go down. I haven't driven this thing in a while, so I'm just gonna take it out for a nice little cruise, maybe even drive it to work tonight, and we'll just see what ends up happening. Just keep an eye on your temperature gauge, and then we'll go back and double check it. But now's a good time to say thank you for watching this video. If this was helpful, please like and subscribe. We do still have some work we need to do on this Jeep Wrangler TJ, the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder. And one of those things is the power steering leak. I'll take care of that leak probably when it gets a little bit warmer. If I've got that video done, which if you're watching this right away, I won't, but if I get the video done here shortly, we'll put it right here. Otherwise, I'll put a video here on how to change your belt, just in case you need to change your belt. And like always, I appreciate you guys for watching, and just make sure you double check on your coolant levels after you've driven it a little bit, and you keep an eye on your little thermostat gauge right there. Make sure your thermostat opens up. We'll see you in another video, but we'll come back in just a second. And it looks like we're still full. We don't have any leaks. All of that coolant's left over from when we removed the thermostat gasket, or the thermostat. So we're just gonna keep an eye on it. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next video. Handy Jeff out.